Hey, it's Allie, and welcome back to December Daily 2020. This is day 6, and today I have a story about my parents. So one of the things that I like to include each year in my album is either other people's voices or stories from my other family members, something like that. It often comes in the form of my mom sending an email. And this year, when they were decorating their tree, my parents were decorating their tree. They live a couple hours away from me, but when they were decorating the tree, my mom sent a text out to our family that said, 50 years of decorating Christmas trees and 500 lights. So my parents are celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary this year in 2020, and I loved the 50 years and 50 lights concept, and this was the photo that she sent. So what I'm going to do is I printed this out at the 5x7 size, which is a really nice size for printing a single photo and then having it directly in your album. If you have the Epson PictureMate PM400 printer, it can print the 5x7 size, so I always keep some 5x7 photo paper on hand to be able to do this larger size. And I printed 2 copies because what I'm planning here is that, like I said, this is going to go into the album as its own page, and then it will all flow into the other things that I have put together as my foundation pages. But what I'm considering here, I printed out some journaling, and I'm thinking that I'm going to make a flip up of the photo. So I printed 2 photos because one of them, actually, maybe I don't need 2 photos. Now that I'm thinking of it, I just need a backing, right? And then this part would, lift up for some reason I was thinking I needed 2 photos. But you don't need 2 photos unless you want to see the background. So unless I printed my journaling on the bottom here, and then you lift it up and you still saw the same background below, but that's not really what I want. So I guess I don't need 2 photos. I'm just going to be turning part of this photo into a flip up. And so there's a couple different ways I can do that, and that's part of what I'm going to think through with this page today. And then I have the title that I made on my silhouette machine, and it's going to get tucked right inside there, so it's going to live along the edge in the album itself. And you know, silhouettes are awesome. I know not everybody has a cutting machine. It's really great for when you want to cut custom titles, things like that, and that's what I was able to do with this one. This is just built within the Silhouette Studio software, and that will live on the outside edge. But I wanted to play around a little bit with this, and for those of you that were in prep day this year, you know that we had a special guest, which was Tim Holtz, and he showed a technique using his rock candy distress glitter and a glitter duster to put like a dusting of glitter, obviously, kind of like a snow dusting. He was showing it on top of journaling cards, so taking the main, journaling cards from the main kit and adding some texture to them, which is what Tim does and what he's great at. And so I was just going to try this. For me, it's going to be white on white. It's just adding a little bit of something on top to this. So that's what I was going to try with that. I also got one of these mats from Tim, these glass mats, and I've been playing around with these recently as well. Kind of a fun way to have a nice flat surface there for when you're working or for when I'm cutting. I know some of you guys that have been around a long time have seen me use a craft knife and cut directly into the table. Obviously my table's been around the block a few times, but I think that this will be a fun way to play on here as well. Okay, so we're just going to experiment with this first. I'm kind of thinking, so this is the duster that Tim has, and you can you push down on it and it just does a light coating. But I'm thinking I might want it to be a little bit thicker, and but I'm thinking a little bit about it being outside in the album. We're just going to go for it, and if I need to do it again, I will try that. The other thing that I was kind of considering was doing it in gold, using the gold glitter, like an embossed gold glitter on here, and then doing the distressed glitter on top. I don't even know what that would look like. So maybe let's do a tester of that. Do that before I actually dive into doing the whole thing, because that might work better. So let's do just a little bit of embossing on here. And I actually got a new Trademark embossing powder or embossing ink. Let's try this first. This is some gold, and then we're gonna cook that in place. And this way I can kind of see too what it looks like, and if I want this or if I want the white on there. You can see that glitter's almost gone. Okay, so that's what the gold looks like. So yeah, gold would look cool along the edge, right? The 500 lights, that brings a little bit of sparkle to it. So what I wanted to see was, what if I put some of this dusting glitter on top? The way that I'm going to do it is I'm going to use some collage medium. I am going to just put a little bit here on the background, and I'm going to paint some on top. Just a little layer. And this all wipes right off of this mat. So I'm going to put it back or hold it in the snappy tray while I spray some of this on there. I don't even know if it's going to be anything that you can see. It might not be. Oh yeah, no, it looks pretty cool actually. And you can see how much of it is in the snappy tray. I think it's kind of cool, the idea of just a lot lighter, you know, or working with it that way versus, you know, going over it like this, which kind of just depends on how much, right? How much extra do you want on there? That kind of gives, I'm gonna do those 2 layers. I think that's fun. It can be an interesting combination of the gold with the snowy part on top. So let's make it happen all the way. Okay, so first step then on this is gonna be the Trademark here. And Tim said, he told me that you can just wipe this off. Yeah. So the adhesive wipes off there. Okay. And now I'm going to go in and do this. And remember that this part along here, the spot that I have for the, where it's going to get tucked on the inside of the photos, that part doesn't really matter. So we'll just do it, making sure that it's down below that line. And then we're going to do the gold first. Hopefully I have enough of that. Might have to do a couple. That was you see all kinds of other fun things come out of there, right? From my my mixture of embossing powders over the years of doing this. Okay, so then I'm grabbing the heat gun. So obviously you can stop right there if you want to, just with the embossing powder, which looks cool. But I'm gonna go ahead and do that other layer of the rock candy glitter on top. Just kind of checking to see if I got all of this melted. Okay, so next up I'm going to do what I showed before, where I was gluing, using this to do a layer of adhesive on there, and then we'll put the glitter on top. Again, you can use the duster if you want, or you can just go crazy depending on how much you actually want on there. And I think I'm gonna treat it more like an embossing powder. I talked to Tim and he said you don't have to heat set this, so the glitter will just dry on there. It looks pretty cool. It's got a really fun, like built up texture on there, the combination of the embossing powder and then the glitter on there. So I'm gonna set this down and let that dry for a little bit, and then I'll come back and continue on the project. All right, I am back, and now what I need to do is figure out what I'm gonna do, or how I'm gonna get this adhered and how this whole thing is gonna work in the end, especially in terms of if I am going to do a flip up here. The other thing that I could do is not have a flip up here on the front, but have it, let's deal with that in a minute, have this be on the back. So this could be the back of the page in the album, and if I do that, which is totally possible, I think I'll probably adjust my journaling on here, and I might look and see if I have a photo of my parents. I'm not sure. I have some family photos here. I might look and see if I have one that I could add on here from earlier in their relationship. I think that that's what I'll do, is I'll have this will end up going in between, just like I was talking about before, still along the edge, and then the second page on the back here will have the journaling, and I need to adjust where my journaling is because we're going to have holes in the side there. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I have another photo, and then go ahead and deal with readjusting the journaling on the back. Okay, so I went ahead and printed out a 5x7 with a photo of us. This is from Christmas 1980. And then added my journaling on the bottom, adjusted it. This is all printed on a piece of photo paper, so I put a black background on there and then white type. Obviously these two are going to get adhered back to back, and then we'll punch holes in there as well. This is the title then that I need to just adhere down between these two, and I'm actually going to use some red line tape for that, just to keep it good and sticky. And then basically the last thing is kind of just figuring out if and how I want to add some embellishments onto the front of this photo. Alright, so now I have that on to the back there, and I think I'm actually going to put another piece of the red line tape on here to adhere to the other photo. All right, then the last phase of this project was deciding what I was going to add on top. You can see I pulled out some of the chipboard, the bronze foiled chipboard pieces from the main kit. Before I did that, I went ahead and punched the holes. I try to punch the holes as early in the process as possible, because if I don't do it, then I end up putting some sort of embellishment right where the holes are going to go. So I really do try to get the holes punched. Then after that, I finished adding just a little bit more adhesive underneath there, because the only spot that had adhesive on it at first was underneath the die cut. And then I looked in my stash of stuff, and I have some of the Tim Holtz metal tokens, and I thought those would be a fun thing to add on top of the tree. Of course, if you don't have those, you could always use any sort of chipboard embellishments. You could use the chipboard pieces from the main kit. Maybe you add hearts on there. I kind of wanted them to be in a tree shape, so I used a glass, like a mirrored glass star. I couldn't find a link for that one, but then I did use the number metal tokens and then the larger Christmas tokens. And then I went ahead and I grabbed some of the green embroidery floss and tied the floss through, or looped the floss through the metal piece, and then actually taped it on the back rather than stitching it through, because I'd already adhered the photos back to back. So it's kind of a fake, it's a fake add-on of the thread there, but it's just adds another little bit of color, another little pop of color. So playing along with the green there. And then I adhered them down onto the photo, either using blurred line tape, which you can see right there, or then I think on the number 6, I added a glue dot. I know I did a small glue dot on top of the star there, and just kind of used my fingers to push it around a little bit to have the adhesive in place. I really like how this one turned out. It's something a little bit different. It's a very targeted story that's specific to our family. But I love the idea of creating a title using a silhouette or other die cut machine, a custom title for yourself that you can put along the edge. And then, of course, I love bringing in photos from the past too. So having that fun little bit of connection to the past was fun, and the opportunity to celebrate my parents' anniversary again. So if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below.